Wisconsin is coming back from its worst drought in decades. Along with unusually high temperatures, it's affected wildlife in and along the state's rivers. While spring rains ended the drought, recovery in some places has been slow. PBS Wisconsin's Nathan Denzine tells us about one species that's been hit particularly hard.
We reached peak drought severity in September of last year.
It's been a very dry few years for Wisconsin.
I started getting lots of phone calls from people saying there's all these mussels out there and they're stranded, they're dying. What can we do?
It's had a significant impact on a species we hardly think about.
I was no longer picking up a mussel and placing it gently in the water. I was throwing them as fast as I could.
Much of southern Wisconsin was in a perpetual drought starting in the winter of 2021 through the spring of 2024.
Droughts are very stressful to aquatic organisms as well.
Ellen Voss is the Climate Resilience Director with the Wisconsin River Alliance.
There's just less space for the things that animals and plants and insects and everything else need to survive.
One animal that can be squeezed out by low water is mussels.
They're basically just, a mollusk with two shells, and they live in the rivers and lakes, rivers, and streams of Wisconsin.
Lisi Kitchell is a mussel expert at the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources.
They don't have a brain and they don't have eyes, so they can't just figure out where the deeper water is.
She says there are tens of thousands of mussels on the bed of the Wisconsin River, including 40 different species.
They filter as much as 10 gallons of water a day per mussel, and when there are hundreds and thousands of them, they really help purify the water.
But when the drought reached its peak in September, mussels started to wash up on shore banks.
What I was really looking for was actually historic artifacts because the water was so low. I'd never seen it this low.
Jean Unmuth is a retired scientist for the Department of Natural Resources. She lives near the Wisconsin River in Prairie du Sac, northwest of Madison. She was also the first person to contact experts when she saw stranded mussels.
Mussels are a huge part of the ecology of this river. So I thought, hey, I better ring the alarm.
A natural question is to ask about how dams on the Wisconsin River affect water levels.
Because we had such a drought year, the dam did not have water to release.
The dams along this river are not holding back water and cannot release anything more than they receive, meaning they can't add more water to help mussels at the lower end of the river. Alliant Energy, which owns the Prairie du Sac Dam, in a statement said, "Our license requires us to maintain the water level. Therefore, we cannot release more water during drought conditions."
In this scenario, on paper, nobody did anything wrong. Everybody was in compliance with their license obligations the entire time, and yet the outcome was thousands or tens of thousands, we don't know, dead mussels on the river.
That meant the only solution to save the mussels was to physically walk the shore banks and throw them back into the river.
There were thousands of mussels saved. I mean, individuals were picking up 100 mussels a day, 300 mussels a day. It was pretty amazing what people were willing to do.
It was getting to where I was spending 3 to 4 hours. Forget the artifacts. I was no longer looking at that.
Unmuth saved more than 1,200 herself.
Multiply that times 365 days a year, and just those 1,200 mussels, you're filtering over 3 million gallons of water.
2024 has been called a weather whiplash in the state. In May, some parts of Wisconsin were still in a drought. But overall, the spring and summer are experiencing an unusually wet season. Still, should it dry up again, they'll be ready.
There is a live phone tree mussel rescue alert system in place.
They can also contact me anytime, and I can give them advice as to what to do.
Until the time comes to walk the shore banks again, experts' eyes will be glued to the weather. For PBS News Weekend, I'm Nathan Denzine in Prairie du Sac.